Hi, I'm James from Tabletop Gaming Guild, and today we're going to look at Circadians Chaos Order. This is going to be in the Circadians universe, and it's going to be a really big asymmetric area control style game. This game plays between 2 to 5 players and is published by Renegade Games. When we go down to the table, I'm going to give you a general idea how the game plays and some of the cool things I think are neat about the game, but I'm not going to give you rules of the game, maybe just a general overview. There's a lot in this game and there's a lot of really good rules videos already out there. So again, just a really brief overview, as brief as I can keep it. Just know that there's a lot more to some of the phases in the game that I won't be going over as in depth as they should be. But in general, I just hope that you get an idea of overall the idea of the game. And then we're going to come back and I'm going to give you my final thoughts. All right, so this is Circadians Chaos Order. Now, Circadians is going to be an entire universe this is based on, and all the factions from the universe are in this. This is going to be a highly asymmetric game. Each player is going to have a very asymmetric faction that they're going to play throughout the game, and you're trying to do a area control style victory in this game for the most part. So what you're trying to do is you're trying to be the person that controls all the relics that are out on the board. That's one way of winning. The other way of winning is going to be moving your fame marker all the way to the end. In that case, you will automatically win. And if in the rare case you get to the end of the 6th round, which this game can only go up to 6 rounds, you will, and no one has control of the 6th marker, the person who has gained the most relics will win the game. Now, there's a lot of things to go over in this game. It's a big, sprawling game with a lot of different things that you can do throughout it. So there's a lot of great rule videos out there, and I'll let you watch those. I'm just going to go over some cool things for this game and give you a general idea how the game itself flows. So the game itself is going to go over 6 rounds. So there'll be 6 rounds of gameplay, and each round is going to have 9 phases. At the end of the 6th round, if no one's won, then you're going to see who has the most relics. However, in any single round, someone can win at the end. All you have to do to win at the end is either gain your marker all the way to the end of your fame track or have control of all the relics on the board. At the end of every round, a relic's going to get pulled off. So you have less and less relics to have to control. So the game is going to be much easier to do that. I laid all these relics down so you can see them a little better, but in the game they'll be actually standing up and over top of the foundry. So couple things to mention real quick before we get into the nitty-gritty. I just wanted to show you how asymmetric each of these different factions are. Each of the different factions in the game come with these sheets here, and these sheets here show you a setup for the game, which is going to be for that faction, which is different for every faction. It also has a backside here that gives you a little bit of story about the faction, and also gives you some strategy and tips on how to play that faction. Every faction is very different. Also, every faction has a completely different way of gaining fame, and you'll notice that all these fame tracks are different lengths. And the reason they're different lengths is because of what they have to do to gain fame. For instance, here's the Circadians, and the Circadians have to gain fame from upgrading your attributes. So their track is very short because that is much harder, and you don't actually have that many attributes in the game to upgrade, which I'll show you how to do that in a little bit here, what phase that's actually done in. But in general, that's why their track is so short. But as a counterpoint, if you look at one of the longer tracks here, like the blue player here, they gain 1 fame for each research you gain, which researches are up here, and you can gain a lot of them. So that track is really long at 20. So you have to do a bit to be able to get to the point where you can win by fame. And my favorite faction here, I gain fame for each of the opposing fighters you would wound, and their track is along here, and it's pretty darn long. Also, that's not necessarily the number one way that you can win, but it is something to watch out when you're playing with your other opponents, making sure they're not gaining too much fame to just instantly win. Other advantages to gaining fame is once you pass certain points here, you're going to get the bonus that's printed on the board. So players can get bonuses to help them out by doing this fame, which also could boost them to try to do the area control thing and win that way. So that, in a nutshell, is basically the big thing that you're going to be looking at. Super asymmetric factions, all with their own different way of winning, all with their own different sort of play style, and all with their different setup. It's not super hugely different, so you have a general idea what they can and can't do, but it is different enough that they feel all unique. So there's going to be, like I said, 9 different phases that you're going to go throughout the game. In the game, what you're going to do is the first phase is going to be set prices. In turn order, whoever has this flare gun here is going to set the price of one of these phases here that you can go through. And you're going to take a look at your tokens, and you're going to place down whichever one you want. The red side is going to be your cost, and the orange side is everyone else's cost. So you're setting the price generally for you to be better than everyone else. And if you put it on a place with a printed bonus on you, you'll get it. Like here, you'll get 2 energy. So that'll help you out really well there too, if you wanted to do that. Once everyone has placed those in turn order, any remaining ones will be, you'll use these neutral tokens to place on there to set the prices. If you're playing 2 players, you'll actually do this twice per person. So you'll actually set the market twice there, but set prices twice, I mean. But after that, play is going to continue on, and you're going to go to the next phase. And then the next phase is going to be the discover phase. In the discover phase, say that was up there, you would pay whatever cost you had on here, and then you would take a look, and for that icon, anytime you see the icon on cards that you pick up throughout the game, or actions you take, or things, bonuses you get for spaces, that means you get to move one of these cubes over to the right one. So if I'm purple here, I'm going to look at what column I'm in. I can do this once, so I can I'll put my purple up here. Now if I play this price down here, which is -2 gems, so if I pay 2 gems, I can move another one up again. And as you can see, as I move through here, these get better and better. If I'm here, then I'll also gain to get 2 energy or 1 gem. And if I get all the way over here, I'm going to be able to do research twice. So do the discovery for research twice without having to pay anything, which is amazing. And really good for this blue faction here. After that's done and everyone's gone through, the next phase is going to be the build phase. And in the build phase, you're going to be building these units on your board here. If you want to build something, it has to have a foundation. Your faction starts with 2 of these foundations. Every faction does. And you'll have some fighters on the board and 1 leader on the board. Each faction, I don't believe there is a faction that doesn't start with at least 1 leader. Some of them have less fighters on the board, but in general, that's what you're going to have out. But you have to have a foundation to build something on. So these relics are on top of these foundations, so you're not able to build on them right away. So I do have 2 foundations available, so I could build this building and place it over here. I will gain the bonus for doing that, and I will also have that building out on the board. If I needed to build more foundations, like I'm over here for some reason, I can build them off of here. And as I go through, I get cool permanent abilities throughout the game as I uncover these. Some of them do have requirements here, so like this one requires me to spend a gem to be able to do that. But there's a really good to build more foundations out. Now, when you build a foundation out, that is not your foundation. Any player can build on top of a foundation that's out there. So you want to keep that in mind too. They won't be able to after a building's on it, unless they get rid of it. But until then, they can if they control it and you're not there. So that's build. Again, you get to do is for many symbols you have on here, and then you can pay the resources down the bottom to do it a second time. That's a common thread through all these. You get to do the top action, and then if you pay the bottom action, you get to do it again. This harvest phase right here, you're going to simply get your resources for all the areas that you control and pull those in, and you can pay, like down here, you can pay 2 energy to get a gem if you wanted to. Each recruitment point can be spent to advance a fighter 1 space along the recruitment track. You can advancing it off the far right track here. So I can advance this unit here if I wanted to, or if I advanced one of these units here, this unit would immediately go out into my home base, and then I can move them out farther. One thing to notice that in this game that is unique from other games is you never, ever, 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 ever have to defend your home base. You can't move units back into it, and no one can move units to it. You're going to move from it and never come back. So you don't actually have to worry about ever defending your home base in this game, which is pretty cool to have that removed and not have to, like a lot of the area control games, that's going to be a point that you have to like constantly guard. In this game, you don't. You can mainly just strategize on those relics out on the board. The other thing you can do, some of them have fast track. You can fast track the fighters to the leftmost space of the recruitment track if you, but you have to spend the indicated energy cost on your sheet to do the fast track part. So here I'd have to spend 1 energy to do the fast track and move them straight across. So realize that that's available too. Each faction can also spend recruitment points for gems or tactic cards. Tactic cards are right here, and they're really nice, and they can help out throughout the game. You can use them in combat, and you can use them for their normal abilities. Combat is the top part here. This is going to be pay 2 fewer gems when upgrading attributes. So you can use this card for the bottom ability or for the combat ability. If it had another bar across over top of this one, it also would have a combat ability too. But whichever you pick is what's going to be spent on it. You can also deploy one of these leaders out on the board in that phase, which is pretty nice too. So that's recruitment. In move is pretty simple. You're going to take a look at where you're at, where your cubes are at on this, and you're going to move whatever you want. So this is going to be 2, you can move up to 3, then 4, then 5, then 6, and you can pay 5 energy down on the bottom to upgrade one of your leaders, and that would just be simply flipping it to this side, and that's permanent. That's move, and I'm going over these really quick because I'm trying not to do the whole set of rules. I'm trying to just go over what's happening. Combat's pretty fluid in the game. You're going to look and see how many factions are in an area, and then in turn order, the person whose turn it is, if they're in the combat, is going to resolve that combat, and they're going to pick which faction they're going to fight. So if there's multiple factions in the area, they're going to pick one and fight it. Each person's going to get these dials here, and they're going to set these dials to whatever they want here. Some of them have costs on them and are requirements, and you have to have these to be able to set it to it. If you have any of these tactic cards, you can use them and see how they line up here. They're going to cover this. You can also flip this tactic cards over here to pretend that you're going to be using one before you flip the dial. And if you do that, then you're going to simply take it off, and it's going to be that. I'm not going to get completely into combat, but basically what it's going to be is you're going to add to the strength of your units in there. You're going to take how many units are those all have strength too. Some will let you roll these die to add strength, and you're going to take, and whoever has the highest strength will win. And you can take casualties from combat. Doesn't always happen, Most of the time it will, but it doesn't always happen. And it's not, I think the limit, off the top of my head, I think the limit's 4. You can only lose up to 4 units in a combat. Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure that was the number. That, in a really, really super brief nutshell, there's a lot more to combat than what I just said, but that's basically combat. Basically, you're just trying to resolve those areas using those dials. If you have those resources you want to spend to help improve your odds or whatnot, you can. And that's it. You're going to then gain your income, so you'll pull your income. And then finally, you're going to check relics. So you're going to look through the whole board and see if anyone controls all of them. If anyone controls all of them, they immediately win the game. And at that point, the game's over. But if not, you're going to go into the next round. So starting before the end of the next round, you're going to pull the relic off, which is the round. So this would be 1. And if someone controlled this, they would place the relic on their board. They would get the bonus that's on their board and do that. If no one was control of it, you just still remove it from the board. This foundation is now available. And you will continue on. You will continue this on until you get to the 6th round, or someone controls all relics, or someone has got enough fame to be at the end of their track. So, in a really quick nutshell, that was the idea how you're going to be going through Chaos Order and how you're going to be playing Chaos Order. Let's go back up to the table here. I'm going to give you more thoughts on the strategy in this game and the different things you can do, and I'll give you my final thoughts on the game. All right, so I really like Circadians Chaos Order. It is a really good area control game. I like the First Light version of the board game, the one that's previous to this one, but it's a very different game. This game is definitely very much an area control game. And I really like how all the factions are very asymmetric. And I really like all the thought they put into making them different. And they all play and feel very different in the game. But also not to the point where you're completely lost at what your opponent's trying to do. I would say probably for your first game, or even any game that you play, you should probably have each player read off how they're going to gain fame throughout the game, and you can look at the track and see, how they're coming along with that. Because that, again, is a really, it's more of like a sneaky way of winning in the game. It's good, and it's a good thing to watch in the game, because if you just focus only on getting those relics, it can be difficult if someone's really pushing towards getting that fame. Although on the flip side, if you are trying to just do fame, you could lose the game by allowing people to have control of the relics, which is an instant win at the end of the round. So a lot of cool strategies you can have in the game, and a lot of different things that you can do. There's a lot of different choices that you have for what phase is most important to you, what you want to do, and position yourself better. Do you want to upgrade your leaders? Do you want to get more units out on the board? Do you want to make each of those phases more powerful for you? Is that your goal for this round? Do you want to just make sure that you get to claim the relic at the end of the round? Like if it's round 1, I want to claim relic 1. All different things you can think about and have to deploy different strategies, and you can pivot pretty easily in this game too. So if that's not really working out for you and you were just trying to push on the fame, I'm going to go to the area control, because you do gain stuff while you're doing your fame, and you can be increasing your different board position, your power on each of the phases, building stuff out, and increasing your income, and all different things that you could be doing while you were doing the fame that can translate into being better at doing the area control, and vice versa. So I think that's really cool. Component quality in the game is amazing. They're always really good with the component quality with this. I really like the big chunky wooden bits that you have for the relics. All the faction pieces are amazing. I like those. The insert is amazing. I didn't show you that, but everything fits perfectly. You have tuck boxes for each of the factions, which I appreciate, because you have a lot of pieces per faction, a lot. So having them in those tuck boxes, you just put away at the end of the game, makes it super easy to put them back out for the next one. So I do appreciate that a lot. Everything's really nice and neat in there, and really easy to bring out to set up a game. And the setup does take a little bit of time for this game. Now, there's going to be a little bit of a learning curve with this game because I don't say this like a super heavy game, but it's definitely a medium weight game, you know, edging a little to the high, the medium weight. There is a lot to learn, and there's a lot of things that you need to know to have the best strategy throughout the game. So it's really important to, I guess I would probably recommend like a practice round. So if no one's ever played this game before, go over the rules, show all the different things, and then do a practice round where you just go through all the phases and complete everything. That, I think, would give everyone a good enough idea to just reset at that point and then be able to get off on a good foot and have a good strategy to go throughout the game. And it is also really cool how I really like how the relics get pulled off, so there's less relics on the board, so it's easier and easier to control those relics and get the win from that. So I do like that, and it adds a little bit of tension to the game too, which is really nice. So as the game goes by, with the less relics out there, there's more and more tension to the game. Overall, really well designed game, really great game. If you are into area control or majority control games and you're looking for a good one to play, I'd say this game is going to be best. It's good 3. 5, I say 3 to 4 player. If you have a group in that player count, I mean, it does play up to 5, and you're looking for a great strategy area control game, this is one you're going to want to check out. And that's my thoughts on Chaos Order. Thank you for watching.